Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Age Origins. Last time we left off, bit of get to know you time in camp. Alistair chatting up Morrigan, having a bit of a bickering with Sten, and oh god, Poochie biting Alistair's hand off. Let's continue. Just getting to know my fellow compadres. It seems reasonable to me.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
You said this Al Eamon chap raised you.
Did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
Ah, right. That would explain the smell, then.
Well, it wasn't until I was 8 that I discovered you didn't have to lick yourself clean. Old habits die hard, you know.
Okay, that will explain the breath as well, then.
And my table manners, too. Though, come to think of it, they weren't all that different from the other Templars. Or did I dream all of that? Funny the dreams you'll have when you sleep on a cold, hard ground, isn't it?
Okay. Is this going somewhere?
You have no sense of humor, you know that. Fine, fine. Have it your way. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Al Eamon wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
Ah, so do you know who your father is?
I know who I was told was my father. He died even before my mother did, anyhow. It isn't important.
How unfortunate.
Al Eamon eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Alistair, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did.
Ah, so let me
So
guess.
off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10. Just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
Well, you're probably lucky than most orphans.
I suppose you're right. I wasn't raised as the Arl's son, though, if you're picturing that. I slept in hay, out in the stables, not on silk sheets. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
Oh, how sad. But you were young.
And raised by dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
Okay. Do excuse me, I'm just looking for my guide for something. Okay, excellent, I'm there now. Okay, so we get a bit of Alice's background, and once again we go full circle and chat with Morrigan. Because there's probably some more things that we need to discuss.
What do you wish of me?
I would like to ask you something else.
If you must.
Yes, I must. How did you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Yes. But that does sound like something you do.
Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Let me see. I've just never heard of anything like that before.
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
Yes. Well, that's good, but such traditions need to be preserved.
I am surprised you think so. Still, 'tis a pleasant thing to hear.
Well, so, do you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
And what do other animals think when you've changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
Okay. Can you change into other human forms?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Okay. Well, that'll do me for now.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
Oh, far from an abomination, dear. Maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled.
I wouldn't advise it. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Okay. I think we're getting on like a house on fire. Quick chat with Stan, one more with Leliana, one more with Alistair, and then we shall crack on. We can't stay here all day and chit-chat.
Yes.
Okay. I want to discuss something you mentioned earlier. It's just been playing on my mind.
Speak, then.
I'm only joking.
Then I suggest we move on.
Okay, fine.
As you wish.
So there's nothing much to talk about with him. Leliana, any more of your marvelous stories?
Yes. Well, here I am.
What would someone like you be doing in the chantry in the first place?
What is meant by someone like me?
Well, you know, you just don't seem the chantry type.
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Affirmed? I'm not quite au fait with these ways. What do you mean?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
So what did you do before this chantry life?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Oh, okay. She's had quite an interesting life, as I gaze at her there for a little lingering second or two.
What do you need?
Just a chat.
Ask away.
So, how exactly do you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
Ah, you're such a comedian, Alistair.
I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
And what skills might those be? I haven't noticed them so far.
Well, it wasn't an easy life, you know. I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but I'm not exactly the Chantry type. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
So, you think this is better than being a Templar?
Oh, I suppose the Chantry life is good enough for some. Here, we have the chance to fight against the Blight, to actually do some good instead of sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
Okay, don't start crying again, please.
Yes, you're right. I should be angry for what happened to him, not sad. I shouldn't forget what Loghain
That's
did.
more like it,
Come
Glad.
on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Glad I could bring you round to your senses, eh? Bloody don't want you to become a blubbering wreck on us. Okay, I think my fellow party members are all talked out. Well, at least I am anyway. But before we conclude this part, I just want to bring to your attention, people, the gifts system, which I have here. Obviously, as you've noticed, people approve and disapprove, and if we go into our thingy-majig here, we notice that certain people at the bottom here, you can see a bar just above the swap weapon sets, where there's a heart on one end with a broken thing through it, and on the other end is positive. So the more to the right this bar goes, the more that particular character likes you. So if you have a positive interaction with them, they like you more, and if you have a negative one, like I'm doing with Alistair a lot of the time because I'm taking the piss out of him, it goes down to the left. And you get certain bonuses the more the person likes you. So, considering I'm going to have Alistair working with me quite a lot of the time, I might do well to stop insulting him, really. But it's just the way my character is, I can't help it. Morrigan, she's been trying to chat her up a little bit. She's going up on the plus side. You can see the difference there between the two. Leliana's pretty neutral, we haven't really talked to her much. And still there's Poochie right at the very full end of the spectrum. And Sten, who is again pretty neutral because he's only just started. Now we could give Sten some clothing here. This is a perfect opportunity. He is a DPS warrior, so he shall have first of all splint mail boots, some chainmail armor, some chainmail gloves. That'll do you for now, will it? And a helmet. There you go. Totally looks ridiculous. Nothing matching. And we'll give him a two-handed weapon. Longsword, grey iron. No. Steel greatsword. There you go. It's all looking pretty swift. And there's nothing else to give him. Right, so he's got his little goodies. Right, so in the next part we will go through the gifts which are used to increase the other character's opinion of you. So join me then.